Well, I try to record these videos to practice my English because the best way to practice English is to speak English, and it's kind of difficult to find a person to speak to even in um, in your own language because to practice English I need to talk about different stuff that I know in Russian to use the words that I want to use in English. Yeah, but it's very difficult to find a person that will be who will be willing to listen to all my topics that I want to practice speaking about. And I decided to record these videos the way there is some kind of practice when you learn to program, for example, and you one someone female woman uh, learned to do web programming, and she uh, wrote code for 100 consecutive days. Every day she wrote a bit of code with maybe with some animation, maybe with some what something about decoration of the HTML page, and every day she implemented some particular programming feature, and she published her results on some site, and you can Google this idea and watch her progress from the first to the hundredth day. It's not like she progressed much because she used different techniques of web programming, and I think she was limited in time, so it wasn't like she did the same thing again and again from the first day to the 100th day. She just used different techniques, and but she was consistent, and by the 100th day she was able to program some foundation features quite effectively, and okay, she was reliable to herself. So I decided to record these videos the same way. If I have a chance, I'm going to record every day some video on some random topic I can talk about. Topic about some stuff that I know. It's more from popular culture than from this some specific knowledge. So this is a good opportunity to practice my everyday English. And today I decided to talk about the DC universe. That's from comics, and the most famous characters from DC are Superman, Batman, let's say Flash, Superwoman, Supergirl, Wonder Woman, and maybe Aquaman. And I knew about this stuff because I watched Batman by Tim Burton, made in 1989, and the second in 19 maybe 92, and the first Batman was the revival of the Batman movie after the first original series in 1960s. This first original series were quite interesting from the historical perspective, but they were not about the real Batman. Two guys in real tricos or some training clothes, wearing some very comic, let's say, capes and masks. They drove their car and kind of fought with the criminals. I tried to watch this series for some time because of the English, and there is a Catwoman in this series, a woman, an actress from the 1960s, and she is one of the hottest Catwoman in the history of movie adaptation of Batman universe. Anyway, these were the first series, and then I think Batman never was filmed until Burton revived it in 1989, and with the sequel in 1992. And Batman was Batman was portrayed by Michael Keaton. And in the second movie, there was the Catwoman, who was portrayed by Michelle Pfeiffer. And my personal opinion that this particular Catwoman is maybe not the hottest of them all, but she is the most, let's say, iconic Catwoman. I like her clothes made of these small pieces, I think black leather, and stitched together. The costume, the image of this Catwoman is very cool. I think one day I'm going to rewatch this movie, but anyway. Next was the third and the fourth movie. The third was with Val Kilmer as Batman, with Jim Carrey as this Riddler guy. It was quite well, and Robin appeared in this movie. I think it was in 1995 or maybe 7, and then. Or maybe I am mistaken about Robin. But anyway, in the fourth movie, where George Clooney was Batman, Robin existed, and there was Uma Thurman as Poison Ivy, and Arnold Schwarzenegger as this ice guy. I don't remember his name. Anyway, the fourth movie was quite cool, but it was mostly comedy. And George Clooney said in one of his interviews that he almost killed the idea of filming Batmans. But when I watched these movies, I knew that they were from Batman series, but I never was interested in the comics universe from which these movies originated. I never learned about the additional characters. As I said, Catwoman, Penguin, Joker, who else? This Mr. Freezer, portrayed by Arnold Schwarzenegger, and other guys. I just watched them as the actors who played some characters in the movie. And then Christopher Nolan created the next trilogy of Batman, 2000, let's say 2007, then 2009 and 2012. The first one was just the introduction to Batman. It looked quite iconic, quite faithful to the comics. But the movie itself, the plot itself was quite boring. But the second movie, Dark Knight, was so successful that even Heath Ledger, who portrayed Joker and who died out of overdose of drugs after finishing the movie, but before the Oscars. So Heath Ledger received his Oscar for the performance in this movie because he portrayed Joker very cool. And in general, this second movie, Dark Knight, in the second Batman series was more about real world problems, about the terrorism and other stuff. It wasn't about this comics problems like Scarecrow guy with his fear toxins, some ninjas, and later in the third movie there was this Bane supervillain, and they kind of put a huge bomb somewhere in the city, and they caught all the policemen in the city inside the canalization, and not so cool and not so realistic as it was in the second movie. The second Batman was really about terrorism and like people behaved themselves in this situation, and the only excessive thing in this movie was Batman himself, because Christian Bale, who portrayed Batman, he really didn't play. He just pronounced. He just said his lines. Nothing special about his performance. But Heath Ledger create the best Joker for this, maybe by this time. Well, there is another Joker who was portrayed by this Phoenix, and this actor got his Oscars for his Joker, but Heath Ledger is the best Joker of all time, and he created the image of his Joker based on the image from the movie in 1992, The Crow, the movie where the son of Bruce Lee played the Crow guy. So bad guys killed him and his fiancée, but he returned from the other side, and he was immortal, and he killed all of them. And when he returned back, he used some makeup to emphasize his face, and this movie was quite low budget, but it became cult movie. And during the developing of this movie, Bruce Lee's son was shot with the real gun. It was an accident, but he died performing his role in this movie. Anyway, Heath Ledger used the image of the crow to create the image of his own Joker. And then there was the third movie in the trilogy, as I said, about some bomb that was installed in the city, and the whole police was somehow caught in the canalization. It wasn't very, I say realistic. But anyway, the trilogy by Nolan was quite well. And then I watched the Big Bang theories about these guys who worked as physicists in Caltech University, but they have lots of hobbies like playing Xbox, PlayStation, and other consoles, and reading lots of comics. So they talked a lot about Superman, Batman, and other stuff. They participated in Comic Cons, which is the some event when different people who enjoy all this comic stuff gather together, and they use cosplays, like dressing in the characters they like, and talk to different people at this Comic-Con. And usually the creators of these movies come to Comic-Con and to the Comic-Con and they announce new projects in these universes, about new movies, new games, maybe new comics, and the guys listen to it and wait for the next year to participate in this Comic-Con. So maybe after 4 or 5 seasons of Big Bang Theory, I started to understand the difference that there are two major companies of comic characters, like DC Universe and Marvel Universe. DC Universe includes Batman, Superman, Flash, Aquaman, Supergirl, and all the characters in the universe. And Marvel Universe is about Spider-Man, Thor, Iron Man, Hulk, and lots of other guys. And these two universes never mix. So you can't watch Batman with Thor in the same movie. And these two universes compete against each other. So Marvel created about 30 movies with the characters of the universe, like Thor, Iron Man, and then they created this crossover, Avengers, the Endgame, and other stuff, where all the characters from all different comics, all different stories that belong to their own universe, they were interconnected, and they fought against some super threat from the cosmos. And this series of movies were super successful, and the last crossover, Avengers and I don't know, Endgame or the final, it became the second, I think the second, the most paid movie, the most grossed movie in the history. The first one is the Avatar, then this Avengers and the final, and then the second Avatar, and again the Titanic, I think. In any case, Marvel Universe is quite well portrayed in movies. Spider-Man from the Marvel Universe. And DC Universe failed in this competition because all the movies that DC created, they kind of didn't get enough money during their run in theaters. But they have huge army of their own fans, like the guys from Big Bang Theory, and they create lots of other stuff, like just animated movies about Batman, Superman, and other heroes, like games for computer, and some series about side stories or the childhood of different people. Yeah, I remember now. There was that series, The Gotham, where they portrayed the young Batman, Bruce Wayne, when he was about 14 years old, and he lived in Gotham, and he was the heir for all the fortune that remained after the death of his parents, who were billionaires. He lived with his bartender, no, not bartender, I don't know, with his servant, Alfred, and all the characters who appeared when he would become Batman. All these characters lived simultaneously in this Gotham with him. They sometimes they met, sometimes they never met until he became Batman. But in this series, they were all portrayed like 10 years younger than we usually know them. The Catwoman, for example, was just a cat girl before becoming Catwoman. She was portrayed by some girl. Her name was Celine, and in this series they were kind of friends. And Celine also befriended. I don't remember name, but the girl who would become later Poison Ivy, and all other stuff. The Penguin was a young man. Gordon was still young, because we know that Gordon was the commissioner of Gotham, but he was about, I don't know, 50 years old when Batman was in his 25s or 30s. That was quite interesting, and watching maybe the first season and then half of the second season, I understood at last who was all these characters in the Batman universe. And Batman universe is quite interesting. Compared to Superman universe, it's more real, because there is no really superpowers in people who live together with Batman. Batman is just an average guy. He is a billionaire, but when he fought against the criminals, he is just some kind of martial artist, and he used lots of technologies that help him to fight against criminals, but he has no superpower. And most of the characters in this particular series, the Batman series, don't have superpower as well. Like some exceptions are this scarecrow guy who uses chemicals to spread them around in the air, and then people inhale these chemicals and they have the problems with their mind or psychic because they see horrors or monsters that do not exist. And when Batman inhaled these chemicals, he saw his own child horrors from the time when the parents were shot when they, together with him, walked out of the theater. And about the bats, these animals itself, and other stuff. And there is this Croc, the mutant, who I don't know how is looks like crocodile, and he's really strong. He has this height as a crocodile, but he's intelligent, and that's all. Most of the people are just thugs that are controlled by Joker, who is the main character. Joker is quite weak, but he is quite clever, sly. He always finds a way to create some terror attack or something else, and he uses his thugs to do the hard work. And he has his faithful partner Harley Quinn, who was once his psychiatrist in the asylum, and then she changed her mind and she became his partner, one of the most fierce criminals in the Gotham and Batman universe, sub-universe. And all this stuff. It was quite cool to learn the backstories of most of the characters, because I know the universe of Harry Potter because all these books, 7 of them, even 8 of them, describes the stories of the characters. And if you read these books once or twice or thrice, you have a good background about the history. But with guys from the comics, it's kind of difficult to find some printed book that contains the story of some particular character, because everything is in comics, and these comics are in circulation since 1950s or maybe 40s. There are hundreds of comics, and you physically can't read of them to get the consecutive story about, let's say, Batman or Catwoman or this Poison Ivy girl. So the only chance to get this story is to read Encyclopedia Britannica, Wikipedia about the characters. And maybe the worst part of all this stuff, that the characters evolved during the history about, I don't know, 70 years. Like, for example, Batman and Robin were the partners, like the Batman and his lad. And in the old cartoons about characters from DC Universe, there were Aquaman and his lad. There was Flash and his lad. And there was Batman and his lad. It's like teacher and his Padawan. But in 1960s, there was some psychologist or critic, maybe psychologist, who described the relationship between Batman and Robin as homosexual, and it almost ruined the Batman sub-universe completely, because the idea in 1960s was quite extreme, and their relationship was quite close. They spent time together and other stuff. So from that time, Batman and Robin evolved, and at some particular moment, Robin became the son of Batman from some woman. So now Batman and Robin is in father and son relationship, rather than in teacher and his student relationship. And there are lots of other subtle moments with which I'm not familiar, when the characters changed from 1960s to our time, and it's kind of difficult to distinguish which is the canon appearance of character and which is the changed appearance, and what is better, what to learn, to learn the original Batman and Robin as his partner, or to learn the Batman and Robin as his son. In any case, if you are the fan, you can try to find most of the comics printed online and read them from the beginning to the current day, but they're not in the chronological order, and there are lots of side stories where different characters were introduced first and then they evolved into some relationships with the main characters, and the better way to find some DC encyclopedia or just Britannica encyclopedia and read the story of some particular character condensed into one topic. You will learn about the origin of the character and how he or she changed through time. The second option, it's not about option, it's about what to watch if you like DC Universe. You can watch this animated series or animated movies about Batman, Superman, and other guys. You can watch movies in general, like Batman movies, Supergirl, and Supergirl series, Flash series that is quite long running series somewhere on the American channel, and lots of others. Of course, you can play computer games, and one of the best computer games in DC Universe is this trilogy of Batman, like Batman Arkham Asylum. This was the first game in the series, and it introduced lots of characters and their backstories, and this all within the game process, and I learned a lot from this real series about the Batman universe. The second was the Batman Arkham City, and this is the best series, the best game on the comic character, like till this date nowadays. The third game about Arkham Knight was made in larger territory. The city was 3 times larger than in the second game, but the idea was quite used. It wasn't original, and the story wasn't very interesting compared to the second and to the first game. But anyway, I tried to play all 3 games, and I was quite successful with them. But the main advantage that I learned a lot about different characters and how they communicate to each other. And the latest maybe addition to this DC universe is this Harley Quinn animation series. They are about Harley Quinn, who was the partner of Joker, the main criminal. She was his partner through all the story of Batman, but at some later tendency, she became independent of him, and she became the criminal of herself. And in this series, she even partnered with Poison Ivy, who was her kind of friend of her childhood, and they became lovers. This series are more about these current tendencies of different orientations that are very popular nowadays. But the series quite interesting, with lots of blood, lots of violence, lots of jokes, and of course I like the voicing, because this Harley Quinn girl talks so much and so quick in English, and that's really cool. In any case, I wanted to talk about DC universe, but I talked only about Batman sub-universe, and I even didn't describe the story of Batman. I just tried to summarize all the sources that we can watch, read, or play to feel this DC universe. And if you are not just DC universe, Batman sub-universe, and if you are the fan of Batman, these themes materials are quite well, despite of the fact that DC universe in general failed compared to Marvel universe. But Batman series alone, they were quite successful. Maybe they were the most successful sub-universe inside DC universe. So I like Batman. I like his character, the style. Batman is a night creature, because in the day he always this Bruce Wayne billionaire, but at night he dresses into his Batman costume. He drives his Batmobile, and he fought the criminals. So usually the games and the movies with Batman, they happen at night. But Harley Quinn, she could perform her criminal actions throughout the day. So the movies and the animated series with Harley Quinn usually happen in the day, and that's quite alright, because night is too dark and you need to sleep at night, not just drive in your car and fly your Batwing or something like that. I think somewhere in the future I will talk about Batman in more details, about the story of Batman and the other characters, and maybe the relationship between these characters. But that's alright for today, because the video is quite long, and bye bye for the next time.